Thank you, Mr. Patel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Patel, thank you for being here today. You'll recall well in January at your confirmation hearing before this committee, I raised the prospect of politically motivated retaliation, and you promised me, as you did other members of this committee, quote, every FBI employee will be held to the absolute same standard and no one will be terminated for case assignments. You went on to tell me, quote, all FBI employees will be protected against political retribution. And you assured one of my colleagues that you would honor the internal review process of the FBI. I'm not going to mince words. You lied to us. In the short time that you've been FBI director, you've presided over a rash of retaliatory firings. 3 FBI agents have recently sued you. They are FBI agents with 60 years between them of distinguished service, rescuing hostages, saving kids from predators, dismantling drug cartels, and their allegations, their civil allegations, are a searing indictment of your tenure as FBI director. But it's not just those 3. The FBI Agents Association has said that your actions, quote, distract agents from their work, foster fear that their assignments could cost them their careers, either now or under the next administration, and increase the risk of criminal and national security threats by undermining unity and morale within the Bureau, end quote. This association, as you know, is voluntary. It represents 14,000 members, 90% of all the active agents. These are your employees saying that your performance has been unqualified and unfit. And there is mounting evidence that these retaliatory firings were the result of direction from the White House. There have been instances in the past history of the Bureau of political interference and political direction from the director's office, but not the kind of institutional interference that we're seeing from the White House right now. I'm going to ask you, has anyone from the White House contacted you about personnel decisions?
I completely disagree with your entire premise.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so Kash Patel is testifying, as you guys may already know, is testifying in front of the Senate this afternoon, so we're going to cover this. We're going to get into it pretty heavy. There were a few explosive moments, which I'm not going to cover just yet because, you know, I want to build my way up to those. So we're going to get into this. We got Senator Blumenthal coming in with some very, very partisan questions, and you're going to see Kash Patel just effortlessly and flawlessly just knocks down the damn narrative on this one. So we're going to get into this, but y'all do me that favor, smash that like button for me, subscribe if you're new around here, share this video anywhere and everywhere you can, and click that join button, sign up and become a member. But without any further ado, folks, let's just hit the ground running.
That I have lied or am misleading the FBI. If I were, the results that I announced today by the men and women of the FBI and the historic records we are doing to keep this country safe would not be possible. The men and women of the FBI are responding to our leadership and this administration's priorities. The only way people get terminated at the FBI is if they fail to meet the muster of the job and their duties, and that is where I will leave it. And you accusing me of lying is something I don't take lightly, but I'm not going to get into a tit for tat with you.
Well, let me just ask you to answer my question. Has anyone from the White House contacted you about personnel decisions?
Generally speaking, we always discuss with the White House, OMB, during the budget process, how many personnel we need, who we need where.
Answer is yes.
For budgetary purposes and
to fire people, agents, because they participated in investigations of the president?
I don't receive directions to do that.
Has anyone
I make the
suggested
decisions.
Has anyone asked you to do it? The best information is yes, you've taken suggestions and direction from the White House, in firing qualified agents?
Any termination at the FBI was a decision that I made based on the evidence that I have as a director of the FBI, and it's my job, and I'm not going to shy away from it. And as you stated, those are allegations, and that is an ongoing litigation. So they'll have their day in court, so will we.
The allegations are not just in that lawsuit, Director Patel, and I think your testimony confirms that, in fact, you've taken direction from the White House
I don't.
in those
it does not.
retaliatory firings.
It literally
Because
does
you've
not.
acknowledged that, in fact, they have been in contact with you about personnel decisions.
The
Let me
White House
move
has
on.
been, do not put words in my mouth. We're on the record. The White House, like any administration, contacts its agencies on the budgeting process and where it needs personnel and where the mission priorities are. That always happens. If they didn't do that, they would be abdicating their responsibility to law enforcement. I will always work with my partners in the chain of command at the Department of Justice and the White House to ensure that this FBI is delivering the results we are delivering, to include the lowest murder rate in modern U.S. history, to include the most fentanyl seizures in modern U.S. history, to include the most lives saved and the most children found in modern
ask
U.S.
you,
history. That is a working FBI. That is not a failing FBI.
Let's move on to a related area. In White House discussions, have you been asked or directed by the White House or others to engage in a crackdown on political groups or organizations, nonprofits, after the murder of Charlie Kirk?
To direct at political organizations? No. I've been asked by my chain of command to properly root out criminal activity wherever it is in whatever investigation we are conducting, and that's what we're doing.
Have those distinctions about whom you're going to target been based on direction from the White House?
Nobody gives me a list on who to target. My targeting list is from the men and women at the FBI.
Have you talked about investigating certain groups, nonprofits, or foundations or institutions?
Whatever those investigations are, they're ongoing, and I'm not going to get into those.
Have you used polygraphs to determine loyalty of agents?
No.
Have you committed that you will respect the First Amendment rights of agents?
I have wildly committed to respecting the First Amendment rights of agents, but at the FBI, you have to balance your First Amendment rights with your mission.
Have you imposed any sort of loyalty test in the course of using polygraphs or in any of the other personnel decisions?
Polygraphs have been utilized at the FBI for decades. They will continue to be utilized in the fashion by the professionals that administer them.
Have you asked under the polygraph test about individuals' loyalty or about their voting records or any kind of past statement?
Just to make it abundantly clear, I don't tell the professionals how to conduct polygraphs or what questions to ask. They make those decisions. And I, as the director of the FBI, never ask anyone who they voted for.
Have you investigated donors to a political party simply because they are donors?
Simply based on that fact alone, no.
Have you investigated donors for another reason?
Many donors may be involved in criminal enterprises and criminal activities, and those individuals will be investigated.
Can you commit to make public the Epstein files that so far have not been released if this committee is able to review them on a classified basis?
I think this is an important distinction. The Epstein case file is not classified to my understanding. So we are providing what we legally can, and we are going to give Congress what we are legally permitted to do so to the maximum extent of the law.
Will you enable the chairman and the ranking member to review them on a classified basis?
That doesn't make any sense. If the material in the Epstein file is not classified, there is no basis for a
Well, it
classified
would
review.
protect the confidentiality of them if they were able to review them on a classified basis.
If anyone in this room can get the multiple district court judges to lift their court protective orders in the ceilings, we will happily provide you with more information.
Are you in favor of merging the DEA and the ATF?
That's not something for me to comment on.
Well, those agencies work with you, don't they?
With me, not for me.
Are you in favor of orienting the FBI toward a national police function as opposed to the enforcement of federal law?
The FBI does enforce federal law across the country. That's what we do.
But isn't it a fact that you have told the leadership of the FBI that you view it as moving toward a local and state police function?
No, we are prioritizing working with our local and state partners, and they will tell you that that has never happened with this much engagement in the history that they have been serving as local law enforcement officers. I believe local cops are the best intelligence source and the best understanding of their communities, and I folded in my FBI agents under that direction to work with them to get the job done.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so I always find it funny how these Democrats, well, Republicans kind of do it too. It's pretty much all politicians. They'll get up there with these veiled intimations on unsubstantiated reports by the corporate press. Like, all of those questions are ridiculous. They're unsubstantiated. We've gone over several of those, like all the firings at the FBI. Oh, that's because of insubordination, or it's because of this reason. Like with Driscoll. Driscoll openly defied the Trump administration and said, we're not going to cooperate with the Trump administration, for goodness sakes. That was the acting FBI director at the time, said we're not going to cooperate with the president of the United States. And you expect these people not to be fired, my dude? Are you serious? Like, this is another thing about Democrats. They never want to fire anybody. Oh, it's not our fault. Oh, let's promote that person after making giant mistakes, after weaponizing a federal law enforcement agency. Yeah, let's go ahead and politicize this, weaponize it against the American people, and send our agents out to go and get these people and lock them up for no apparent reason whatsoever, other than they hold an opinion that is opposite to mine, that it differs from mine, that is of a conservative nature. This is what they do, folks. There was another section in this that I'm not going to cover, really. It was Josh Hawley coming in, talking about the memo. I don't know if you guys remember that memo, where they were attempting to recruit agents to go in as informants in the Catholic Church. And then come to find out, Christopher Wray denied the existence of that at first, and then he said, oh, well, that was just one agency, one field office or whatever, and, it wasn't very widespread at all. And then whistleblower testimony come out and said, no, yeah, that wasn't the case. And then we found out the facts that, yes, that wasn't the case. It was actually distributed to thousands of agents over several different field offices. Like, how does something like that get put into action, for crying out loud? Let's go into the church to see if we can root out some Christian extremism, for goodness sakes. Like, we've been hearing a lot about both sides. It's both sides, right wing. Yeah, but there's a vast difference between a Christian conservative and, I don't know, a white supremacist. Those are very different things. Almost as different as a Christian conservative and a Democrat. So I don't know why all of these other groups, right, libertarians, anti-government types, which is left-wing for the most part. Most you're anti-government, like anti-fascist and all that stuff. Antifa, that's left-wing. They get lumped in with the right wing, and then we get blamed for political violence. After one of our people gets taken out, a damn icon gets taken to the freaking ground, blown his neck off, for goodness sakes, and then they want to say, well, he deserved it because of your rhetoric. All right, why don't you go ahead and back on up with that. Sit down and shut up, because we both know. Like, there's no illusions here. We both know this is not a both sides thing. Right? Sure, there is right-wing political violence, and I condemn all of it. But it's not near the level that it is coming from the left. They are open with it. They are brazen with their political violence. They have no qualms at all with getting on social media and just telling everybody, yes, we cheer for this. He got what he deserved. This is all nonsense, folks. Kash Patel has got to be one of the best FBI directors that I've seen in my entire lifetime. Right, once again, folks, I will admit, I didn't pay that close to politics. But considering the statistics, I don't know if you guys have seen this particular hearing, but he touts off some statistics here, and they are utterly amazing, if true, right? Which I don't know why they wouldn't be true. They're easily fact-checked. I haven't done that. Why should I? Right? Because, once again, if he lies under oath, yeah, there's consequences for that, even for the FBI director, as a matter of fact. So, you know, I don't care about anything Democrats want to yell about both sides. When they say, oh, it's both sides, that's an excuse. That is just an excuse to not say, let's come together. That's all that is. That is an excuse so they can continue engaging in the actions that they've been engaging in the division of this nation, because it's intentional, folks, and it's coming from one side. It's Republicans. I even heard, like, I'm going to cover this weekend, by the way, so get ready for that. Destiny goes on Piers Morgan, and he says pretty much the opposite of the truth. That it's constantly liberals saying, trying to put that hand out across the aisle and say, hey, let's turn things down. It's not, folks. That never happens. Let's turn things down. You might get some politicians, some prominent politicians, say, oh, blah, 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 blah. But most of the time, most of your liberals, it's always, oh, well, it's coming from both sides. Trying to put up this front that, come on, it's both of us here doing this, when we know damn good and well it's not. This does not come from conservatives, for crying out loud. It's in the name. Conservatism, right? You're trying to conserve things. You're not trying to destroy things. That's what the left is. Destruction, folks. That's all they bring about, is destruction. And I'm not saying all, right? Once again, when I mention the left, I'm talking about the far left, the psychotic left, the progressive left that doesn't value life, that doesn't care about this country. They will get out there and say they hate this country. This is the group that's calling Donald Trump a Nazi, a fascist, and saying it's okay to punch a Nazi, and all these other things that are the ones turning up the political violence, right? Now, once again, regular liberals seem to be just okay with this happening. They're not going to stop them. They're not going to stop the far left. While on the other side, this is a major difference, folks. We ostracize the far right. We try to put them in a box. The white supremacists are irrelevant, folks. We've even got a name for them called groypers, right? Which, once again, folks, the left, they tried to blame Kirk's assassin on groypers, for goodness sakes. None of it makes any sense. None of it is down to earth. All of it is divorced from reality. Every single freaking bit of it. And it's getting tiresome, folks. And, you know, we keep hearing this, how can we coexist with these? We can't. We just can't. They're always going to clash. We're trying to uphold this nation, trying to conserve what makes this country great. And they want to tear every freaking thing down that they can. And I'm not going to have any of it, folks. I'm going to do every single thing I can to put a stop to it. That's no lie, right? But I think I've rambled on for long enough. So you guys, y'all do me a favor. Smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. And click that join button, y'all. That's the best way to help this channel expand and grow. But y'all do all that. And you guys out there, y'all remember that God is always with us. And he loves each and every one of you out there. So y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.